Episode 7 of the Traitors Season 4 came on last night. It was the big banquet episode. Let's talk about it. Spoilers ahead. So going into this episode, we knew that whatever faithful touched Lisa Rinna's brooch was basically going to be murdered, and we saw her kind of target a couple different people. She targeted Kristen, Natalie, and Jam Jam, all three of which are very strong players. So I think that was really good strategy for Lisa to go after them. As the dinner unfolds, we see people do some kind of suspicious things that later would be called out during the dinner. For instance, there's a tarot card deck on the table, and Steven's like, hey, pick a card, and someone does, and Kristen's face is on it, so that seems suspicious. Like, why is that there? Everyone's kind of going around the table and appreciating each other, and then Alan shows up to the dinner and lets them know that the traitors have already struck, and one of them has been basically marked for death, but that there are 2 bottles of antidote, and then whoever takes the antidote will be saved from death. But of course, no one knows who was actually targeted by the traitors. So we see people go around the table kind of accusing each other of suspicious behavior. They're trying to figure out like what could have been the kiss of death, so to speak. They start kind of targeting Steven because like Natalie is like, hey, you served me food. And then Tara is also like, well, Dorinda served me turkey and I didn't even want the turkey. She served me turkey. What does that mean? And then they bring up the tarot cards from earlier, and Kristen is like, well, my face was on the tarot card. And so people are kind of advocating for Kristen to take the antidote, but then Natalie is like super hardcore, like, I need to take the antidote too because I ate this food that Steven served me. And Tara's like, well, wait, I'm really scared too. We see Jam Jam kind of mention that Lisa kissed him earlier, and he was like a little nervous, but he didn't speak up. So we see Natalie and Tara kind of running for this antidote. Johnny takes one of the antidotes and gives it to Kristen to take, and then Natalie just takes the second one. So she's kind of looking pretty suspicious. They take the antidote, but unfortunately, Alan lets them know that neither one of them were targeted because Jam Jam was targeted. And as he's being like dragged away from the table, he starts being like, Lisa kissed me, it's Lisa. And Lisa's like, what? Because like, yeah, Lisa's a traitor, but it wasn't the kiss that got him, it was the brooch. Everyone obviously was very suspicious of Lisa, and they were already suspicious of Lisa, so it wasn't a good look. But RIP Jam Jam, you look fantastic. The next day at breakfast, we see everyone talking, and we see that people are very suspicious of Lisa, and they're also very suspicious of Natalie. Later on in the morning, we see Tara and Natalie having a conversation. They're trying to kind of work it out because Natalie was super hardcore going after the antidote. Tara was like a little suspicious of her, but she seemed to be feeling better about that conversation. But then Lisa comes in the room, and then Natalie messes up, and she basically says the words, when we murdered, and she corrects herself. But it's enough for Lisa to be like, ooh, I can use that later. Let's use that. But we see several people are going around the castle, throwing out Lisa's name, and one of those people is Rob. Rob has basically decided to go against Lisa. He thinks she has enough heat on her, and he's going to stick with Colton and his buddies to try to get her out. But you see, Candace is really trying to help Lisa. She's trying to get the suspicion off of Lisa. They all get sent on this mission where they basically have like rocks. They have to go up this hill and throw the rocks at these vases that have the gold in it. They're trying to win gold in this challenge, but also whoever has like the most rocks at the end of this challenge, they put them in a box, and whoever has the most in their box wins the opportunity to get 2 votes at the round table. So other people can put their rocks into different people's boxes, so it kind of raises suspicion when Lisa decides to put all of her rocks in Steven's box. People take note of that and are like, are Steven and Lisa working together? Because people were already suspicious of Steven the night before with the banquet. So that question mark kind of floats around throughout this episode. So we see a group of 6 people have basically the most rocks in their boxes at the end. One of them is Rob. We see them play this game where Rob basically is given the opportunity to figure out who's lying to him at this round table. Everyone gets like a card, and people either have the dagger or they don't. Rob is able to go around and ask people different questions to try to determine who has the dagger, and he does guess right. Natalie ends up having the dagger. She lied about it. He was able to pick up on the lie, and so he gets 2 extra votes at the round table to use at his discretion. Later on at the round table, we see things are not looking good for Lisa. Rob is like hardcore going against her. Going into the round table, he makes a comment about like kind of not wanting to stand out too much and say too much, but he ends up really taking the lead against Lisa, which really throws off Candace and Lisa. He's basically turning against his fellow traitors. And Lisa does try to give good evidence against Natalie because she did mess up that one sentence that she said earlier, but you know, it just doesn't work out. So everyone basically votes for Lisa or Natalie. The majority votes for Lisa, and that's partially due to Rob. It's partially due to Rob turning on the traitors. But when Candace starts to vote, she votes for Rob. And so Rob takes great offense to that. But I think that was one little dig at Rob that she could do at that moment. I don't know if it makes her look more suspicious because obviously like she doesn't want to vote for her fellow traitor. Obviously you can spin that like she didn't want to vote for another housewife, so she was just going after the person that was going after her friend. But I think by throwing Rob's name out there, there's a little bit of suspicion. There's like a question mark around Rob's name. So I think that was probably for the best. I think that was probably good on her behalf to do that. But unfortunately for Lisa, she got voted out. She was banished and she was found out as a traitor. But now suspicion is everywhere. People are suspicious of so many different people. And now that there's so much stuff between Rob and Candace, like they still have to work together in the turret. I don't know how that's going to work out. Now neither one of them trust each other. It's a whole mess. And I think Rob has basically chosen the faithfuls over his fellow traitors. I think he's going to turn on Candace even more. And Candace, I don't think is going to go down without a fight. So I don't know if it was a smart move for Rob to go that hardcore against his fellow traitors, but we're going to find out because I do think Rob is playing a good game. Candace is super smart, and I think she's going to find a way to kind of rally the troops against him. So it's going to be very interesting, the next episode. I cannot wait to see what happens next. What did y'all think of the big banquet episode? Did you enjoy it? Also, if there's a petition to ban hard-boiled eggs from the Traitors Castle, I would definitely sign that because there were so many hard-boiled eggs being eaten in this episode. It was kind of ridiculous. So I agree with this TikToker, ban hard-boiled eggs.